a lot of times parents, we like to kind of almost control the future, or even like how we want to see or where we want to see our children at.
Right.
And in the end, the ball is in the kids' hands.
We are Moms Unhinged, a nationally touring stand-up comedy show. Join us in our podcast as we explore everything from motherhood, midlife crisis, marriage, divorce, online dating, menopause, and other things that irritate us. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Moms Unhinged, the podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Marie, and I am joined today by the amazing Gosia Betancourt, a fellow Denver local mom here. We just connected recently, and welcome, Gosia.
Thank you so much for having me here. I hope it's going to be fun. We're in Unhinged Moms.
That is the thing. We always have fun as unhinged moms. We just, let it roll, let things just whatever. We need to realize that as moms, we're all like doing our best. And so, this is what we like to talk about. And I wanted to dive in a little bit because Gosia has two amazing sons, and they are 13 and
12 and
15?
13.
Oh, 12 and 13.
They're
Irish twins. Oh my gosh, we can talk about that too. That must have been a challenge. But they are both, especially her one son is really heavily into sports, elite sports. And we wanted to talk about what that experience is like and how you deal with that as a parent and as a family unit and all of that stuff. So, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your son's sports and how that fits in with your life.
all right. I'm very thrilled to share our journey and our story and experiences. Some were great, some not so much, fun or scary. But hey, this is life. This is the journey. And I guess all of us experience it every day. So I do have two boys, Josh and Jacob. They're only 15 months apart. So it's actually, I'll have to say, it's pretty convenient to have them one after the other when it comes to sports or any activities, because I was able to drop them off together a lot of times, or they could do various activities. I have to admit that I was very much, I would say it's called intentional on what I wanted them to be kind of involved in or what they should be exposed to, which means everything. I'll share. So literally since they were, babies and me, so they started with gymnastics, and as they were growing, we've exposed them to chess, piano, baseball, flag football, like all different kinds of sports you would think of. I'm glad they did, because they were able to share with me, Mom, I like this, I don't like that. So instead of us, like as parents, we like to push, like, I want them to become the best soccer player. I want them to be this and that. And honestly, I think if we can actually sit back and let the child lead, I think that's the best kind of experience. So after all those kind of experience, both of my children started narrowing down, skiing, golfing, you name it, like all the kind of experiences. And then my son started like, Mom, I don't want to do this sport, that sport. And we can continue, staying within one, which was gymnastics. And after many years after that, Josh, he's now high-level elite diver for the USA Diving at Mile High Dive Club here in Denver. So we're very excited about it now. I just don't mind. I can't wait to share our journey.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because how do you, it can be such a challenge on how do you know when to say, you know what, give it a little bit more time versus, okay, you can stop doing that. Because I know sometimes my kids are like, oh, I don't want to do that. And like, you sometimes it takes a little bit of learning and applying yourself and getting a little bit better to actually start enjoying something. So how did you navigate that?
That's a great question. It is always very hard, because it's easy for us, like even trying to encourage a child, like, why don't you finish the season? Why don't you complete whatever you started? And absolutely, this is very legitimate, and we all been through this. And I think it is actually a fine line, and we do need to kind of have the mother's intuition a little bit in it too. At what point are we actually going to help the child? Well, maybe this is the short moment, that they're trying to tell us something, and we're trying to encourage them, like, hey, at least complete the season or something like that. But I think that's why it is very important to be involved in our children's lives, in their sports, and seeing them, how are they truly experiencing it and reacting to moments that they're down. Maybe this is just temporary. However, if you actually hear it from a child every single practice, every single time, and it's just so much, at some point, I think you as a parent need to help the child, like, okay, why are you saying this? What are your thoughts? Can you tell me more? Let me hear you. So I think we need to listen. And I'll give you an example. When Josh was already pretty involved in advanced gymnastics, he trained, 6 days a week, twice a day, 5 hours a day, which was very intense. And he loved it. He loved every minute of it. He never complained that we had to wake up at 6 a.m. to be at the gym by 7. And then, traveling and competing. But literally at some point, one day we were in the parking lot going to the gym and Monday morning, and he says like, "Mom, I'm not going back to the gym." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? We live at the gym." Like,
Wow.
I mind. And he said, no, he's crying. He's like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, Josh, we're in the middle of the season or whatever it was. So I was trying to kind of convince him, like, hey, can you, tell me what's going on? And he started sharing his thoughts, and somehow he went back. Tuesday morning, same thing. He's crying again. He doesn't want to go leave the car. We're in the parking lot of the gym. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is becoming like real serious because I've never had that experience. And then by Wednesday, he did again, the same thing. And then I actually finally 3 days in a row, and I realized like, no, this is more serious than I thought.
Yeah.
And then we went home. We actually did not went to the gym. And then I just started like pondering and thinking there must be something more going on than I think. And we never went back to the gym. And then that was really something for us because Josh started having withdrawals with his body. I never realized that when you stop working out, and he was only 9, 10 years old, maybe.
Wow.
He was, pretty young, but because he trained so much, his body needed that workout. So I started searching, what do I do? And a couple of my friends, they said, why don't you look into maybe other sports? And the first one came up to all of my friends' minds was diving. It's very relatable, just, for all the moms. It's just, so 85% of current divers are past gymnasts. So,
wow.
I guess it has to do with the flip.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And one thing you do need to undo in your mind, instead of landing on the feet, you have to land on your head.
Oh,
So it's like
just a little difference.
Exactly. So what happened like that week, the first week when he actually really needed to work out, I started searching for top level. He wanted to be a top gymnast. So the same thing, he transferred that, like, let's find a top diving program. And we did find, which was the one in Colorado, Mile High Dive Club. And then we reached out to them. We scheduled the first lesson or training, whatever that was, and listened to.
Right.
When I looked like a fool, literally, I'll never forget that. So I'm dropping off Josh, for the training at the diving club. And I said, hey, probably you love Josh. He's really good. Like, in general, he's clean. He will do great flips or whatever it is. Don't get your hopes up. Probably in a week or two, he's just going through sometimes in his gymnastics world. Most likely he'll probably go back to gymnastics, but help me. I'm just trying to this is our lifeline. We're trying to help our kids, like how to manage and navigate through this. And the coach didn't say anything. They were so humble and quiet, and they're just kind of probably behind their mind everything, like, okay, great.
Okay, lady. Okay.
I'm like, wow, right? Wow. So literally after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Josh is at the gym, at the diving or training, whatever it is. And then I asked Josh, I'm like, Josh, so how is it going? What's going on? Like, I'm trying to learn from him, and are we, what are your plans?
Right.
And he says, like, what do you mean?
I'm doing this now.
Exactly. So I'm like, are you planning to maybe go back to gymnastics or what? I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay here. I love it and this is awesome and I'm staying in. So a lot of bottom line is a lot of times parents we like to kind of almost control the future or even like how we
Yeah.
want to see or where we want to see our children at.
Right.
And in the end, the ball is in the kids' hands and the
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah, because they're the ones that, I mean, they have to get up and do all the work and, be there the long hours and everything like that. And it's so interesting to me that at 9 years old, he already like knew I wanted to be top gymnast, top diving. He had that kind of drive. Did you see that? Did he always want to do that or in anything he did, or was it just in certain things?
I think it's the mindset. Either you have it or you don't. Yes, you
Yeah.
kind of work and grow and but it truly is he is a neurodivergent child. He's a gifted child. So a lot of times since he was little, and I think when I had him tested, actually, this is another funny story I have to share. When he was in school before, the teacher walked up to me and said, like, well, when he was 5 or 6 years old in preschool or whatever, the pre-K, well, your child is always last to finish their works and whatever. And I have to say, I'm originally from Poland, so we have so much respect for authority, for teachers. I actually started apologizing to the teacher. I'm so sorry. Is there anything I've done wrong? Maybe I'm not giving him enough attention. I started blaming myself, like literally.
Yeah, of course. Like a mom,
Exactly.
as moms
Like,
do.
what do I need to do? So instead of like, trying to figure out, and then after that, actually, when I had him tested, for his giftedness or whatever they call it, I actually shared this incident. I'm like, well, my son is last, the teacher has said that he's last to complete his assignments or, all the feedback. And then after we received the results from the psychologist, from the, for the doctor, results, she's telling me, Gosia, no wonder he's last to finish. He's a perfectionist. He's not here to give the sheet like this, like to the teacher, like, okay, here it is, and it's done. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that sheet until I know that it meets my standards. Then I'm going to give it to you. Probably 95% of children like, well, here it is, I think these were the early signs how much he was actually taking everything so seriously in his life.
Yeah.
Either I'm going to do the best I can or I'm not going to do it at all. And it's
Yeah.
kind of, which is kind of nice, but that's another one aspect that I need to be aware of. And at some point I need to, because he was still young and even however it goes through their life, that at some point you just need to find a middle ground as well. Our
Right,
lives aren't
right.
just black and white,
Yeah. 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 It's okay to get a wrong answer. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. That's so interesting. And then how does it with your two boys? Now your other son is involved in sports, but not to the same level. He's not, but he does a variety of sports or
That's correct. So he did start at gymnastics for a couple of years. Then we kind of did soccer at the same time because when you're younger, you only have a couple hours here and there, weekends, tournaments, and it's kind of light. But as the levels were progressing in both sports, you needed to eliminate. So he ended up choosing soccer. So he stayed there for a few years. We're small families, like height wise, we're petite. So in soccer, it's hard because when you're on the smaller side, you will be outran, out whatever. However, Jacob is gifted as well. So then he said, like, Mom, I don't have to be so aggressive. I don't have to be so running all over the field. I actually see the angles. I'll pass the ball in the correct angle to an aggressive, fast player who will be able to shoot and score. I'm like, wow, that was like, But in the end, he still let go of soccer. So then we expose. He loves golf now, and golf also has the angle.
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of angles.
Exactly. So we're still very intentional, and it seems like he's choosing the sports that it will go with his kind of interest, but at the same time capabilities. in physical capacity, because in the end, I picked basketball if you're kind of on the small end. And
Yeah.
before we had children, my husband and I, we were thinking like, I did wanted to have that was my personal dream, like involve them in some kind of sports and so they would enjoy themselves. And then my husband and I, we were sitting and like, hey, where should we do? And then he said, well, my husband, if I had known that I'm going to be like so small or, whatever, he says, I should have been a jockey or a gymnast, and then I'm like, okay, so let's try those two. So what happened? We end up here in Colorado. It's like, okay, why don't we go? Let's find a stable. So the kids were like 2 years old, and we're like, okay, well, we'll try that. We're taking them to the stable 2 and 4, whatever, however, yeah,
Yeah.
age wise. And then as soon as we're walking in to the stable, my face, my eyes is like swollen red eyes. I'm allergic.
Allergic.
I'm allergic to okay, we narrowed that down. No jockey for her boys.
I would have been a great jockey, but my mom was allergic.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been the winner of the Triple Crown. But we're actually watching that a lot too. So that's why we kind of narrowed down to gymnastics and other sports. But yeah, Jacob, so does everything else, but in a light way, skiing and golfing and he loves baseball or whatever. So it's in a light way, but I love it because in the end, he does need to have his energy kind of somewhere put out, and it's healthy for you. It's good for you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm very proud of him because in whatever sport, the recreational way, he tried to do his best he can.
Yeah.
He sees his older brother succeeding, so he wants to show like, hey, I know I'm in the rec. Like I'll do basketball, YMCA or some other smaller stuff. But he just wants to show that he still does the best in his capability. So we're very proud of him.
Yeah, that's good. And it's interesting with them being so close in age, and yet one is just doing something so involved and probably so time consuming. It's probably, just there's so much going on probably in your family with just getting them to the different where they need to be or when they need to be there. You said you were just in Norway and like.
Exactly. So Josh, he travels a lot for his competitions, whether here within the U.S. or internationally. Last year, he was competing in the Netherlands. This year, we went to Norway. But here, it's actually amazing. Thought I want to share. Jacob, he is not he's not competing or doing anything, but it's like, Mom, he's a great negotiator. So he would tell me like, Mom, I really want to go with you all. Josh is always with the team, but he says, Jacob, I want to go with you, Mom, because I want to show my support to your brother. I'm like, or do you want to travel internationally? So of course I just laugh, but that's negotiation. Like, in the end, just as a mom sharing at this point, I absolutely love traveling. Personally, I actually traveled plus minus about 65 countries around the world.
Oh, wow.
So I have seen quite a lot of countries, experiences, cultures, you name it. I lived actually in Swaziland and worked there too.
Wow.
I studied in London. I studied in Rome. So I actually been all over. So now I'm actually a huge advocate for my children to travel. So it gives us a great opportunity when Josh is competing. But now with Jacob, so what I actually have been doing, and since he was, young, he always goes with us, even though Josh goes with the team, but then I'm taking Jacob with me. I love it because for example, last time we stopped in Iceland, and for me, every trip is so educational. He will basically, hey, you need to do research. What are we going to see? And then he will say, we saw the glaciers, we saw the geysers, we saw the puffins or the northern lights, and he studies and learns about it, and it's just amazing. So then Jacob will only comment. I love that. Like, if somebody's like, oh wow, so you travel a lot? Yeah, and I don't even have to do any sports.
Like, he might be the smarter one. He's got the trip without the work.
Exactly. No, it's actually fantastic. It works amazing for our family, but it does affect our schooling because then Jacob is missing just as much as school as Josh.
Right.
And even though all of our schools throughout the years have been extremely supportive, flexible, and engaging to help Josh in his training. So I do have to give every single school amazing gratitude to them. However, we came to a point where Josh's training missing of schools due to competitions, due to injuries, doctor's appointments, prevention, PT, OT, MRIs, X-rays, sports medicine doctors. It became literally weekly, almost like so much timing that he would be missing training in the morning, and then obviously because he's training now with the elite group, which it is the intention for them to get ready for the U.S. Olympic trials for the LA.
Right.
So he had to leave early from school, and then we came to a point. My son's like, "Mom, I know we've been holding off for the online school, but I think we're ready."
Yeah.
So it's funny because usually we, the parents, we tell them like, you're going to go to this school, you're going to do this. We kind of run their show. But I
Right.
have learned over the years that I have to listen to them and hear their needs. And we as adults, I think we need to say like, okay, you're telling me this, how I can help you. And this is the moment when we started looking, exploring, trying to find the best fit or support for Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. So now is he a sophomore in high school?
No, this
No.
is really incredible. He actually just graduated 7th grade, so he's going to 8th grade, and he's the
Oh,
youngest child on his team who's made it to the elite group.
oh, wow.
So
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's
Wow. Wow.
really cool. That's a very
Yeah. Yeah. That's
most
amazing.
of his teammates are high schoolers, and that's why when he started traveling with the team, he was one of the youngest one. Sometimes I did still at the beginning I had to actually be as a parent, even though because he was too young. Or even a funny story that as a team, I love our club. The coaches are extreme amazing, and as a club, the lead group or the higher children would actually go and do community service and then would do some kind of involvement in our community. And unfortunately, Josh couldn't go because he was too young because the
Oh,
minimum
no.
age is 12 or 13.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All of his, high school children went for the community service and served homeless or feeding or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And just like,
Yeah.
well, I can't go because I'm too young.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's crazy. Wow. That is amazing. And we were talking a little bit before we started recording about the school that he goes to. Now, is it just Josh that goes, or do they both go to?
Well, here's the negotiation as well. So,
Oh,
yes, Josh has moved literally mid-school year, which we thought we will be, able to wait until September so he could transition to Crimson Global Academy. And unfortunately, the pressure that was on his shoulder that he needed, because he wants to have straight A's. He does aims
yeah.
to go to Stanford University and dive for the college there. He understands that you do have to have great academics and you
Yeah.
have to get in, based on your academic
Yeah.
capabilities.
Right.
He's aware of that. And then diving. But he was just getting so stressed out. Mom, I'm missing so much school. And for example, most of the mornings that he would actually see the doctors, it's ELA. Literally for the past 6 months, he would be missing ELA. And he's like, Mom, even though the school allows me to be late and I'm not being punished for it, but then it was hard for him because he said, like, Mom, I would receive a sheet. I'm like, okay, write an essay. And he's like, I'd like to have some instructions, like help me. Like
Yeah.
missing the class. And it has nothing to do with neither the school or my son. It was just not fair. So Josh said, like, Mom, I don't know. I just need help. What can we do? And then I started looking around. So then we found Crimson Global after thorough research. You know me, like I'll either the best or I won't. I'm that kind of a mom. And then when we did sign the contract starting September, but then when we realized, like, is there any way we could move sooner? So Josh moved already in January or so. And then over the past few months, Jacob started watching and observing, like, ooh, we love the flexibility. It feels like college. You have so much, like, you pick the classes like this.
Yeah.
And you can go. And then Jacob, I promise I'll do my, works. I'll be very committed. Is there any chance I could do it too? And guess what? I did ask my other son, Josh, do you think this would be a right fit for Jacob too? Do you
Yeah.
think he will thrive and he'll still be successful and have that social, emotional support and everything what he needs? And I actually, even though Josh is only 13, I trust his feedback because in the end, he actually does processes and things like an adult when you're so mature and advanced in the
Right. Right.
you know, ways in your life, including like
Yeah.
he's seventh grader. He did ninth grade math. So he was already advanced. So his mind is able and capable. He did say like, Mom, I think Jacob will do well and he just needs to ensure that he stays on top of it. He is my other son, Jacob, is diagnosed with ADD, ADHD combined. So I was afraid that maybe that won't be a right fit because, how
Right.
well he do, he has executive functioning issues or stuff. But we both transitioned them together because in the end, they both missed school at the same time because we
Right.
travel as a family. And
Right.
so that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That
What?
makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense because, yeah, if you need that flexibility, if you're traveling so much. So, right. That's so interesting. And so you were saying it's not like COVID school, like where it's
Exactly. And that's huge. And
yeah.
that's what at first, I was afraid. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're going to transition to online school. And then I'm like, you won't hear anything. You won't be able to learn anything. And
Right.
so actually, as I said, this was the part of my research, trying to understand how the school works and functions. And absolutely, I'm so impressed. Even today, when I've been observing him for the past 6 months at school, it is high tech. It's like a professional business. When we have interviews like this or work calls for work, it's literally all AI technology, top teachers leading the classes. And I love the fact that the classes are recorded because then we
Yeah.
know those classes will actually be exactly what needs to be. I will actually share one thing what Josh had shared with me that he was getting irritated in a sense. A lot of times when you do have such a limited time when you go to school, and then Josh, every day he would tell like, we've wasted 20 minutes, at school, 20, 30 minutes because the teacher was trying to put the class down, like, so they would behave, they would listen. And for him, the 20 minutes were so valuable because he knows I came late and I have to leave early. And then the time when I'm actually at school is lunchtime. So I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
every minute was so precious.
Right.
And he was
Right.
sharing like at the current school at Crimson Global Academy, the teacher goes straight to the lessons. We don't have to shush anyone. Everyone, most of the students at CGA are either high level athletes, musicians, or some kind of, activity they're involved in where it takes a lot of their time. And that's why they have chosen CGA, so they won't have to sacrifice the academic portion, but
Right.
have the flexibility and ability to continue growing, academically and continue
Yeah.
sports. Or their families like mine, for Jacob, they might like the flexibility of traveling, of having, maybe going places and still learning because you can connect anywhere as long as you have
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. That's so cool. Well, we'll have a link to the Crimson Global Academy in the show notes, so people can check it out for sure. One of the things that we always ask all of the moms who come onto the show is if you can share an unhinged moment with us. And it could be, something that didn't go quite right, something, things were a little crazy. I'm sure raising an elite athlete, you probably have something that has been a bit of a challenge. So, you mind sharing a moment
Oh,
with us?
yes, I guess every time Josh either is competing or training, as a parent, we never know what to say. We're trying to be as supportive and help them to build their confidence and not hurt their feelings or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's literally walking on ice. I'm sure all moms can relate with. So I was over the years, I was trying to figure out how I can help him, but also show my kind of love and support for him as well. And I did make mistakes. I did make a lot of kind of learning curves and experiences. So I think at first I was saying like, "Oh wow, this was great," whatever that like he did, and then he looked at me like, "Mom, you know it wasn't. Why are you telling me this? I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then every time I was like, Josh, I wasn't really good. Did you see? I'm like, yes, I did see that. So of course that was reaction. So I
Yeah.
felt so embarrassed that I literally whatever I would be saying and hurt in a sense, like, how can I be better? So what I've
Yeah.
learned that every time he would compete, and obviously we all are judges and able to see all this. So basically I was from now on, I've been telling him, like, hey, I love watching you diving. I love, watching you perform because this way I'm not really getting into him whether it was a good dive or bad dive because in his
Yeah.
he knows it wasn't good or
Yeah.
we think it was great, but for his
Yeah.
standards it isn't. So the
Right.
good lesson is that I've learned in it, like from now on, just to say, I love watching you diving. I love.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I like that advice because I think it really takes out anything about them and it's just all about our experience, which is what we can share authentically about and be like, hey, I'm having a blast. This is super fun for me. I know that you're probably, upset, but this was a good day for me.
exactly.
I think anytime you're watching your kid, of course you want them to succeed as much as possible. But, for me, it just all goes so fast that anytime I could spend watching them, even if it was a long, hot baseball game where they didn't score any runs, it's still fun to be there and get to experience them doing their thing.
Maybe one thing I'll add, or share. Just now, literally last night or yesterday, he Sunday night at 1 a.m. He came from zones with his team. Unfortunately, this time I couldn't come to watch him. Literally in the middle of the meet, I couldn't watch live stream. They didn't have it. He texts me. I'm only able to see the scores through the scoring. And he
Yeah.
texts me, I'm having a horrible meet. Like he's already stressing out. And of course, as a parent, we're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And then I say, did you talk to coach? So typically in those moments, I would also highly recommend communicating and collaborating with the coach because they know how to help them in those moments. It's funny because I was really surprised that in the middle of the meet, he would actually text me. So that's mean they trust us, they love us, they feel like this is the place we can relieve with the parents.
Yeah.
Then guess what I did? I said, did you talk to your coach? And then because the coaches know how to help you at that moment. And guess what? Literally, that was the first 1, 2, 3 dives. In the end, he actually listened to that advice. He went to his coach, talked to him what he's experiencing during the moment. And then in the end, actually, we were very proud. He stepped up. He left the 2, 3 dives behind him because it's a one dive at a time. You literally have to focus. Just forget how you did before. You have 6 more chances of the other divers dives. But the thing is, it's just like one time. There's no redos. There's no retries. You just have to literally perform. So in the end, he actually took 4th place, which is amazing. He's only 13, and the children who took 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are 2 years older. Wow. This is perfect. We're right there where we need to be. So
yeah, wow, that's so great. I bet that's just so wonderful to see them growing and learning, and life lessons about kinds of things like that are so important and so beyond his years. Some of us don't learn until we're 50. That you just leave it behind.
No, exactly. And then actually at the end, when he did realize his scores and placements, then he actually admitted, and I was very proud of him. He says, like, Mom, it wasn't actually so bad as I thought. So at the moment, he thought he's not doing well.
Right.
So that's why, like, I think the more we can help them realize, like, live the moment, don't look back, think ahead, like what you can do. And then I think the lesson of that meet for him was don't judge, don't just try to do your best and then one dive at a time. So we can help this in work life, in all our lives too. Because we like worry and then we're, trying to think ahead. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing today. This is my challenge today.
In the moment.
How I'm going to handle it. So,
yeah, I love that. Well, Gosia, this has been so fun. The time has just flown by. Thank you so much for coming on Moms Unhinged, talking about raising an elite athlete and 2 athletic boys. I know, and all the challenges and things and joys that come with that. So thank you so much, and we'll have links to the Crimson Global Academy in the show notes. But thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, share, and follow us on the socials to get more comedy clips.